this new artistic practice kind of tumbled out of me. I'm Haruna Lee, and I am a theater maker, a facilitator, an organizer, an educator, and I am the TAPS Mohr visiting artist for fall 2020. For my undergraduate, I went to New York University's Tisch School of the Arts, and specifically I went to this acting studio called the Experimental Theater Wing. Experimental Theater Wing, or ETW, was really kind of notorious for being the crazy, wacky, naked studio. And we did live up to that, at least back in the early 2000s. But I chose the Experimental Theater Wing because I love experimental theater and pushing the boundaries. Also, while I was there, I went to the Grassroots Performance Project, which was a community-based theater program. Right after I graduated from college, I pursued acting for a while and went down that path, and then got really sick of performing in other people's work. So I decided to start creating my own work, which really was kind of the birth of my artistic practice. And now I consider myself this multi-hyphenate, human, interdisciplinary artist, maker. And it really began a couple years after graduating. So the first thing I directed was also the first thing I ever wrote, and was also the first thing that I ever performed, and was also the first thing I ever produced. And it was here in New York. It was at Dixon Place, and it was for one night. The piece was called She's Sleep, and it was based on this bouffant, grotesque clowning technique. And so we were all these extremely absurd, clownish, grotesque characters, and it was kind of tracking my character's coming of age story. And I created this 45-minute piece, which was a one-person show with a couple of other supporting characters sprinkled in, and it was such a shit show doing all of those things at once. But I learned so much about my own capacity as a maker, and that I really love doing all the things at once. I think when people really started noticing my work was when I wrote this piece called War Lesbian in 2014. And it's not anything about that piece in particular, but I remember that time as the time that I really started to believe in myself, and really started to take on the role as a playwright. And I really believed in my own words that I was writing, and that a team of people would come around and support me in my vision. I think it was the combination of those things that maybe attracted people to who I am. But, I really don't pay too much attention to that. Maybe I should pay more attention to it. Right now, what I'm dreaming about the most with theater is this idea that it can hold all of our collective liberation, that it is a space for healing, and that we can create a community together. I really believe in equity and an ethical practice, not only reflected in the storytelling and the content of the work, but also in how we're making the work. So I've really been looking to writers like Adrienne Marie Brown with pleasure activism. How do we hold joy in our work, that the cost of making that work can't be more than the joy that we're bringing to it. And also her book, Emergent Strategies, is so inspiring in thinking about how to build a collective that isn't necessarily working towards a goal per se, but it is looking to natural systems that really support collaboration and working together, and that it's much more about the process than the end point. I'm so excited to be directing a show at TAPS at Stanford, and it's really made me think about what it means to embody the role of director. And something I came across recently is this Instagram post by this person named Kinky Black Educator. And they're talking about the responsibility of dominance. And it just really got me thinking about what it means to lead and what it means to be an authoritative figure, but with care, with a tremendous amount of care for everybody involved. So I wanted to share that.